Hey everybody, it's your friendly neighborhood theologian Joe. So I thought I would try something new, something a little different. It's called Carpool Theology, where I just get some friends in a car and chat theology and religion. Here you go. So I'm with my friend Donna. This is my first episode of Carpool Theology. This morning I was reading the news, the religious news service, and they were talking about the Gallup poll. I think it came out a year or two ago. And one of the things on the Gallup poll that they showed was, I think it was over 50%. 50%, and again, this is American, 50% of Americans who identify as within the Christian tradition have stopped going to church. They don't consider going to church a priority. 50%, I think that's kind of large. In addition, we've seen the rise of the nuns, and N-O-N-E-S. So the nuns are young people who, when you ask them what their religious affiliation is, they fill out on the survey none, meaning they don't belong to any religious denomination. And what's interesting is the last time I saw this about 6 or 7 years ago, I think it was in the high teens. It's up to 22% now.
Wow.
And I'm just curious for yourself, like, do you have any good explanation why? What do you think is happening? I'm not even asking us to make a value judgment. Like, is it good or bad that people are not attending church like our parents used to? I'm just curious what you make of all this.
Because I would have a different conversation now about this than I would have 10 years ago.
Okay.
Because now I'm edging close to 60. And I have to say, I've been thinking about health and things that, like when they do stats on how people do emotional health, community health, all those things, and how high people rank when they're part of a religious community or like a church community. Like, I don't want to say live longer, but they do so much better with their lives when they're part of a religious community.
Why do you think that is?
I think the consistency of gathering with a group of people who you're not necessarily deeply emotionally responsible to or for, like just the habit. I think the habit of getting up on a Sunday or whatever day, but we picked Sunday, and showing up and taking a minute to, like, breathing is good, right?
Yeah, yes.
Meditation is good.
Yeah.
Thinking for a second about how you are and how your friends are, like just the slowing down, the stress release in some way. I think being a part of a community, being like identity matters. So all of those things add to your like social, mental, spiritual, emotional health. And then people aren't doing it anymore. What happens now?
So if those things are true, why do we see such a drop in membership in churches, do you think? People just seem, again, what I'm saying may not necessarily be true, but it seems as if people aren't interested in going to church any longer. I'm just wondering what's happened.
I think people are not interested in going to church. I think it being a stress-free place has maybe changed. Maybe it's not stress-free anymore. And now the question becomes, since it's not church, where are people going to get that from?
Yeah, right. So they're finding alternative ways of getting that.
Are they?
I don't know. I'm wondering if, like...
I mean, the gym's good, but it's not lifelong. It's not necessarily.
True.
It requires an amount of money, right, to go to the gym.
Right, no, very true.
Where church is free, right?
Yeah.
You come to a new country, you do whatever, like you can just show up at church.
What do you make of like young people saying, you know what, I'm good, I'm not anything, I'm none, I don't have any interest in belonging to a religious organization.
I get it. I understand it. That really the church is such a patriarchal place that like no women should ever go.
It is amazing to me how, like, when we think of, we would never accept, if I work at company X, there's an obvious expectation that women, despite the patriarchy, women, at least they're going to attempt to try and treat women the same. They're going to try and include to us LGBTQ people. They're going to, you know what I mean? They're going to adhere to basic human rights. And yet I often wonder, is the bar so low that we don't expect that from our churches? That we don't expect from Christianity that it uphold basic human rights, basic human decency?
Anything in society, anything that's been like colonized like we have, and all that kind of thing, all of it's broken.
Yeah.
So we all live with some dichotomy, even though we like believe we're living in a workspace that's totally equal and friendly and whatever. There's still limits.
Yeah.
So there is a dichotomy that we put up with.
And do you think then young people are saying, I'm not putting up with this in my church?
Yeah, I think it's too much. I think they're like, they can't even believe that people would, like, it's a dichotomy that's just too far.
Right.
Like I won't sit and listen to someone say terrible things about my gay brother. They're just not going to be okay with that.
Right.
But then when you think, oh, am I really going to raise my daughters in this?
Right. Even sacramentally, like the ability to participate fully in the church, it just seems odd to me, you know, in terms of gender. That,
well, you know, even when like the permanent diaconate kind of came forward as a became more popular in different dioceses.
Right.
And I was in dioceses where there were not permanent diaconates, and then they decided to install them. And also that men who like take a weekend course for a little while are better equipped in leadership than women with PhDs who have given their whole lives, their whole selves. Even they are, like, we put an extra layer of men in this space as a holding spot so that we make sure, I don't know, that women stay farther down. Like, we need more workers, so let's get these married men.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I've always been struck by that. Like when groups, obviously I'm talking in the Catholic tradition, when groups are like, hey, we need to pray for vocations because they're so few and far between. And I'm always like, no, they're not. Like, you're already, it just seems super hypocritical to pray for a solution that you could solve. Your misogyny is just not allowing it.
It's a lot like that story about the guy in the boat he's floating on the water, and he can't get back to shore, and he prays to God for help, and God sends a helicopter, and the guy says, oh no, God's gonna come. And then he sends a big ship to get him, and he said, no, I'm praying to God to help me, forget it, I don't need you. And then, I don't know, there's 3 things, I forget what else comes for him. And then he dies, and he's like, God, I prayed for you to save me, and you didn't save me. And he said, I sent a helicopter, I sent a boat, like, what else did you want? So there you are praying for vocations, and maybe there is an answer. Maybe someone has said yes to this, and you just say, that's not the answer I was looking for.
It's a great way to end this. Thanks, Donna.